We've all heard it. If I just had $1 million, I'd be set for retirement. It's been the go-to benchmark for decades, a clean, round number that feels like financial freedom. But here's the truth most Canadians don't realize until it's too late. That $1 million number, it's outdated. It doesn't account for inflation, it doesn't factor in taxes, and it definitely doesn't reflect the reality of modern retirement, which can last now more than 30 years or more. In fact, I've met Canadians with well over $1 million saved who are still nervous about retiring. Not because they haven't done well, but because they're starting to understand something that rarely gets talked about. It's not about how much you've saved, it's about how well you've planned. Hi, I'm Stefano Francesca, certified financial planner professional at Next Step Wealth Management with IPC Securities Corporation. Today, we're going to take a hard look at why the $1 million rule may no longer work and what Canadians nearing retirement actually need to think about instead. If you're within 10 to 15 years of retirement or already retired and wondering if your savings will last, this video is going to help you cut through the noise. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps more Canadians see this. And if you'd like to see how your retirement plan measures up, book a call with me using the link in the description below. Let's dive in. Firstly, inflation has quietly cut your spending power. Let's begin with the most underestimated threat in retirement planning: inflation. In the year 2000, a regular mail postage stamp cost 46 cents. Today, it's $1.24 if you buy them in bulk. Inflation is easy to overlook because it works slowly, but over a 20 to 30 year retirement, even modest inflation adds up in a big way. If inflation averages just 3% per year, which is quite realistic in Canada, your cost of living will double in about 24 years. That means a $75,000 annual retirement lifestyle today could cost closer to $150,000 by your mid-80s. I know some will say that you won't have the same lifestyle in your 80s than what you did in your 60s, and that's probably true. What's also true is that your spending changes, and you'll probably spend a lot more to look after yourself in your later retirement than you did in your early retirement. What's also most likely is that in 24 years, you'd rather not have your lifestyle cut in half by inflation. We'll talk more about that later in point 5 of the video. And not everything inflates evenly. Healthcare, long-term care, travel, home, maintenance, and insurance tend to rise even faster than the average CPI. So when we talk about needing $1 million for retirement, we have to ask at what standard of living and for how long. What looks like enough today might feel very different 10 or 20 years from now if your income doesn't keep pace with rising expenses. Secondly, you don't actually have $1 million to spend. Now let's talk taxes, because this is where many Canadians get caught off guard. If your $1 million is sitting in an RRSP or lira, remember that money hasn't been taxed yet. Every dollar you withdraw is considered fully taxable income. So let's say you're withdrawing $70,000 per year in retirement to maintain your lifestyle. If that entire amount is coming from your RIF or LIF, you could be paying well over $15,000 a year in combined federal and Alberta tax, depending on your other income sources. That brings your after-tax spending down to $55,000 for that withdrawal. The key takeaway is this: you don't retire on the amount in your account. You retire on what's left after tax. And when all your savings are in tax-deferred vehicles, your tax exposure in retirement could be higher than you think, especially once RIF withdrawals become mandated at age 72. Thirdly, retirement could last 30 plus years, and that's a good thing if you plan for it. The average Canadian is living longer than ever, and while that's something to celebrate, it also means your retirement portfolio has to stretch further than it did for previous generations. A 65-year-old couple today has a better than 50% chance that at least one of them will live past age 90. That's 25 to 30 years of retirement income to plan for, and not just for basic needs, but for the lifestyle you want to enjoy. Too many retirement planning projections assume a 20-year horizon, but if you live longer and your money doesn't, that's a risk you can't afford to ignore. Running out of money at age 82 is not a plan. The solution isn't just to save more, it's to plan smarter. That means structuring your withdrawals carefully, using tax-efficient income sources, and protecting against inflation and market shocks along the way. Fourthly, market volatility and sequence of returns risk can derail even a safe plan. Let's say you do have $1 million saved and you're ready to retire. What happens if markets drop in your first few years of retirement? This is where sequence of returns risk becomes a serious problem. If you're drawing income from your portfolio while it's dropping in value, you're essentially locking in those losses. Your portfolio now has to work much harder just to recover. For example, if your portfolio drops 15% in your first year of retirement and you're also withdrawing income, you've just taken a double hit. That can throw off your long-term projections dramatically, even if average returns recover later. And here's the thing, this has nothing to do with average returns over time. You could still average 6% annually over 30 years and run out of money early if the bad years hit you up front. That's why more Canadians are turning to bucket strategies, cash reserves, and risk-adjusted withdrawal plans to to help ride out those early retirement years more safely. Fifthly, lifestyle expectations are higher than headlines suggest. Lastly, let's talk about expectations, because many of the articles and calculators that suggest 1 million is enough are based on minimalist budgets. They assume your home is paid off, you don't travel much, you spend less as you age, and you're okay living well below your pre-retirement lifestyle. But that's not what most Canadians actually want in retirement. Retirement today is more active than ever. People want to visit family across the country. They want to spend time at a vacation property. They want to explore new hobbies. They enjoy dining out, entertainment, or golf. And sometimes they often help adult children or grandchildren financially. All of that costs money, and it rarely fits into the $40,000 to $50,000 annual budget those basic models use. So even if 1 million technically gets you through a retirement on paper, it may not support the retirement you envision. This is where proper planning becomes essential, aligning your actual lifestyle goals with the strategy that funds them tax efficiently and sustainably. So let's bring it all together. The idea that 1 million is a guaranteed ticket to financial freedom in retirement, it's a myth, because unless you've accounted for inflation, taxes, longevity, market volatility, and your actual lifestyle goals, that 1 million may not stretch as far as you hoped. And hope is not a strategy. You don't need to guess your way through retirement. With a personalized strategy, you can turn your savings, whatever the number, into a reliable, tax-efficient retirement income that's built to last. This is what planning is really all about. Not just chasing a number, but building a plan that supports the life you want to live. If you're a Canadian retiree or within 10 to 15 years of retirement and you want help creating a clear, customized strategy for your retirement income, click the link in the description to book a free consultation. We'll walk through your income sources, your tax exposure, and your long-term goals, and show you what's possible when your plan is working in harmony. Take the next step.